Dolly show. They asked me why I didn't sing the song about Jolene. Jolene, Jolene, Jolene.
In the crisp autumn of 2025, as the leaves turned gold over the Smoky Mountains, she once called home. Dolly Parton stepped before a camera in her signature sparkle, her platinum curls defying gravity and her smile as wide as the Tennessee sky. At 79, she was a vision of rhinestone resilience, but the world had been whispering worries. Just days earlier, her sister Frida had taken to the airwaves, voice thick with plea, asking folks to send up prayers for Dolly, something about health woes that had forced the postponement of her glittering Las Vegas residency, those shows where she'd planned to belt out anthems of heartbreak and triumph under neon lights. The internet buzzed like a hive of fireflies, fans clutching pearls over rumors of something grave, kidney stones, some said, sharp as shattered dreams, or worse treatments that kept her close to Vanderbilt's sterile halls instead of the open road. But there she was, Dolly, in full glam, eyes twinkling like the stars she'd wished on as a girl. "Honey," she drawled, that voice like honey over cornbread. "Do I look sick to you? I'm not ready to die. I ain't dead yet." She laughed, a cascade of silver bells, admitting only to some problems and a few treatments, nothing that could dim the fire in her soul. It was classic Dolly facing down the reaper with a wink and a song, reminding the world that even queens get weary, but they don't quit. And in that moment, as she blew a kiss to her faithful flock, she looped us back, as she always does, to the dirt-poor hollows where it all began. To the girl who clawed her way from mud to miracles, weaving a life of love, loss, and legends that still echoes through the hills.
Well, hey there, it's Dolly, and I'm excited for this one. It's available now on vinyl.
Picture it now, that one-room cabin huddled against the wild green of Sevierville, Tennessee, in the dead of winter 1946. The wind howled like a lonesome fiddle through the cracks in the walls, and inside, a tiny bundle arrived amid the clamor of a family already bursting at the seams. Dolly Rebecca Parton was the fourth of 12 mouths to feed in a shack that barely held warmth from a single coal stove. Her daddy, Robert Lee Parton, was a hard-scrabble tobacco farmer and construction hand, his hands calloused from wrestling the unyielding earth of the Great Smoky Mountains. Tall and taciturn, with eyes like storm clouds, he'd lost his own mama young and carried that quiet ache like a stone in his pocket. Mama Avie Lee Owens Parton was the heart of it all, small and fierce, with a voice that could soothe a colicky babe or summon angels from the rafters. She'd borne 11 pregnancies before Dolly, her body a battlefield of miscarriages and miracles, yet she hummed hymns through the pain, stitching quilts from flour sacks to keep her brood from the chill. Poverty wasn't just a word in that holler. It was the gnawing hunger that sent Dolly and her siblings foraging for wild greens, the patched hand-me-downs that itched like regrets, the outhouse treks in pouring rain. Electricity flickered in like a stranger in the late 50s, and even then, it was a luxury doled out sparingly. Christmases came with a single store-bought orange per child, a burst of citrus sunshine in a gray world, and Dolly would cradle hers like a treasure, dreaming of the day she'd be by her family, a house with real walls and windows that shut out the ghosts of want. But oh, the music that was their salvation. A river of gold running through the veins of that ragged clan. The Partons weren't just survivors, they were singers, strumming guitars fashioned from cigar boxes and banjos, passed down like heirlooms. Sunday mornings meant church at Locust Ridge Baptist, where little Dolly, barely able to see over the pews, would belt out gospel tunes till her throat ached, her voice a clear mountain stream cutting through the preacher's fire and brimstone. At home, the cabin turned stage after supper. The whole brood, Lede, Stella, Coy, Bobby, David, Laureen, Randy, Larry, Floyd, Frida, and Rachel crowding around as Mama led the chorus on her old upright keys, worn smooth from years of prayerful pounding. Daddy didn't sing much, his voice rough as gravel, but he'd tap his foot and smile that rare, crooked grin when Dolly took the spotlight. Her tiny fingers plucking strings she'd learned by feel. Tragedy shadowed them early, too. One sibling, a baby brother named Larry, lived just days before pneumonia claimed him in that same cabin, his tiny form wrapped in Mama's arms as the family sang him to heaven. It etched loss into Dolly's bones, young, teaching her that joy and sorrow twined like honeysuckle vines, inseparable and sweet with thorns. By age 8, Dolly was a force, her talent blooming wild as the rhododendrons that blanketed the hills. She'd hike miles to the county fair, guitar slung over her shoulder like a soldier's rifle, trading songs for nickels and dimes from awestruck farmers. School was a lark. Dolly skipped more days than she sat, her report cards a comedy of CS&Ds, but her mind was a sponge for stories, soaking up the tall tales of moonshiners and feuds that flavored the air. Beauty pageants became her proving ground. At 10, she won Most Beautiful Child in a contest that felt like fate's first wink, her big blue eyes and butter blonde curls catching light like fool's gold. But it was Uncle Bill Owens, Mama's brother, and a fiddler with a nose for Nashville, who saw the spark that could ignite a blaze. He'd cart her 2 radio stations in Knoxville, where she'd warble on Kaz Walker's Farm Hour, her voice piping through the ether 2 kitchens across East Tennessee. That girl's got the gift, Uncle Bill would say, and Dolly believed him. Because in that poor man's world, belief was the only currency that didn't depreciate. The pull of the city grew stronger than the tug of the hollow. At 13, with Mama's tear-streaked blessing and Daddy's reluctant nod, Dolly boarded a Greyhound bound for Nashville, Uncle Bill her chaperone and champion. The bus rumbled past the peaks she'd known like her own heartbeat, and as the skyline sharpened into view, she pressed her nose to the glass, whispering prayers to the God who'd given her this voice. Nashville in 1959 was a neon-lit dream for a hillbilly girl, honky-tonks, spilling fiddle and heartbreak onto Lower Broadway, studios humming with the ghosts of Hank Williams and the Grand Ole Opry glowing like a beacon. She crashed on relatives' floors, her first job slinging 5-and-dime sundries by day, auditioning by night. Rejection stung like bee stings. Producers dismissed her as too plain, too country-fried for the polished airwaves, but Dolly was steel wrapped in silk. She penned her first song at 14, Puppy Love, a tween's lament sold for a pittance, and hustled demos till her fingers blistered. Tragedy struck again when her beloved grandpa Jake Owens, the family patriarch and singing preacher, passed in 1966. His death, a hollow ache that fueled her fury to succeed. "I ain't letting this life break me," she'd vow, strumming through the nights. Fame's door cracked open in 1965 when she inked a deal with Monument Records. But it was Porter Wagoner who flung it wide. The rhinestone cowboy of the Opry, with his bleached bouffant and sequined suits, needed a girl singer for his TV show, someone to harmonize his lonesome yarns. Dolly auditioned in a borrowed dress, her voice weaving through his like ivy on a trellis. And just like that, she was his foil, the fresh-faced ingenue to his silver-haired sage. Their duet, "The Last Thing on My Mind," climbed charts like Kudzu and Dolly's "Star Rose" in tandem, her solo cuts like "Dumb Blonde" and "Just Because I Am a Woman" slicing through the glass ceilings of Nashville's boys' club. But glory had its grit. Porter was a taskmaster, his ego a shadow over her light. And when she finally broke free in 1974, it was war lawsuits over songwrites that left her pockets lighter, but her spine straighter. Through it all, she built her empire. Dollywood in '88, a theme park rising from pigeon forge dirt as a love letter to her roots, employing locals and funding scholarships for mountain kids. Hits poured forth. Jolene, that siren plea born of a redhead's flirt with Carl, coat of many colors, stitched from Mama's tales of poverty's patchwork pride. 9 to 5, a feminist firebomb that unionized office dreams. Tragedies peppered the path. Brother Floyd's death in 2018 from illness, a gut punch that had her crooning "I Will Always Love You" at his grave. The 2017 Gatlinburg wildfires that scorched her beloved hills, prompting her to rally millions in aid. And then, the pandemic. Dolly herself, felled by COVID in 2022, her lungs fighting what her spirit wouldn't yield. emerging to vaccinate the world with her own investment in Moderna's shot. But woven through every verse and verse of victory was the quiet harmony of her heart. Carl Thomas Dean, the Asphalt Man who stole it at first sight. It was May 1966, a sticky Nashville afternoon, and 20-year-old Dolly, fresh off the road and weary of sequins, ducked into the wishy-washy laundromat to wash the tour dust from her breeches. There he stood, 23 and round, loading washers with the easy grace of a man who'd rather fix potholes than chase spotlights. Blue eyes like faded denim met hers across the suds, and Carl drawled, "Y'all come back now, here." Dolly laughed, hooked like a fish on a line. He was no musician, no fame seeker, just a simple soul running his daddy's paving company, content with cold beer, hot rods, and the occasional Opry show from afar. They courted in secrecy, stolen picnics by the Cumberland River, his letters tucked in her glove box like love notes from a ghost. 2 years later, on a whim and a prayer, they wed in a Ringgold, Georgia courthouse, Dolly in a mini dress and veil pilfered from a pawn shop, Carl in his Sunday best. No honeymoon suite, just a drive-through daiquiri stand and a vow to keep it hushed. Her career couldn't afford the married girl label back then. Porter found out months later and fumed, but Carl, he just grinned, whispering, "Long as you're mine, darlin'. The rest is noise." Their marriage was a slow burn ballad, nearly 59 years of quiet devotion amid Dolly's whirlwind. No red carpets together, he hated the flash, preferred tinkering in his garage or fishing for bass in Reelfoot Lake. They'd renew vows every anniversary, simple ceremonies in their Brentwood manse, her in white lace, him in jeans, toasting with Boone's Farm wine. Children, they talked it early, even picked a name, Carl Dean Jr. for a boy, Willowden for a girl, but life had other lyrics. Dolly miscarried once, early on, the loss, a silent scar that made her cling tighter to the road. "We figured we had each other," she'd say later, "and that was plenty. Kids would have tied me down, and Lord knows I was born to fly." Instead, they built a surrogate flock, nieces and nephews raised in their guest house, godchildren like Miley Cyrus, whom Dolly mentored from child star sprout to wrecking ball rebel, their bond knee-deep with shared stages and secrets. Carl had no kids from before, no hidden daughters or shadowed pasts. He was Dolly's from the jump, his will revealed just weeks ago after his passing, leaving her everything in a tidy bundle of trusts and trucks, a final "take care of our girl" etched in legalese. But March 3, 2025, that dawn broke gray over Nashville, the kind of quiet that screams. Carl, 82 now, had been fading gentle, his strong frame bowed by age and the emphysema that crept in like fog off the river. They'd spent his last Christmas laughing over eggnog, him teasing her about that Vegas postponement. "Go on, glitter queen, but save a spotlight for me," oblivious to the shadows lengthening. He slipped away in their bed, hand in hers, the radio murmuring an old Louvin Brothers tune. Dolly didn't wail. She curled into the hollow he'd left, humming through it all till the sun rose. The funeral was private, as he wished, just family in a hillside chapel, her siblings clustered like wildflowers around the widow in black velvet and pearls. No media circus. Dolly mourned in verses, penning "Lay your head on my pillow." That very week a tender farewell whispered to the wind. Fans sent cards by the truckload, but she grieved inward, tending his rose garden where he'd planted hybrids named for her songs. Jolene read, "I will always love you, White." In the months since, she's spoken of him soft, like a prayer. "He was my rock, my road, my everything. Without Carl, I'd be lost. But he taught me homes wherever love lingers." And linger it does. In the empire she built from that cabin's echo, Dolly's success wasn't handed. It was hammered, note by note. After ditching Porter, she claimed her throne with Jolene in '73. Its desperate plea born of Carl's steadfast gaze amid a fan's flirtation, a twist of jealousy turned timeless. The '70s were her golden hour. Albums like My Tennessee Mountain Home evoking the holler's hush, Jolene raw as moonshine, and that crossover quake, 9 to 5 from her 1980 film Turn that banked $100 million and a Hollywood Walk star. She penned for others, to Parton, the hitmaker, gifting I Will Always Love You to Porter as a parting grace, then reclaiming it for Whitney Houston's diamond spun cover. Tragedies tempered the triumphs. The 1986 bus crash that mangled her band, killing 3 road crew in a fiery wreck that left Dolly haunted by what-ifs. The 1994 throat surgery that silenced her for months. Her voice, that golden thread, nearly severed, yet she rose, every time, channeling ache into art, her imagination library mailing 200 million books to kids worldwide. Literacy, her sword against the illiteracy that shadowed her youth. Now, in this October hush of 2025, as treatments ebb and shows loom on the horizon, Dolly stands at the mirror, adjusting her wig like armor. Health's a fickle fox, kidney stones passed like bitter pills, echoes of the toll from decades of rhinestones and restless nights, but her spirit, unbowed. She's touring again soon, voice steady as the Wabash Cannonball, with Carl's ring on her finger and his laugh in her lyrics. From that poor child's orange to a philanthropist's billions, Dolly's story loops eternal. A girl from the mud who made diamonds of dust, loving fierce through loss, singing sweet through storm. And if you listen close in the rustle of those smoky leaves, you'll hear her still, coat of many colors, threads of gold and silver made, reminding us all that the finest tales are sewn from the heart's own ragged cloth. So here's to Dolly, ain't dead yet, and shining on.